and welcome to the Joy Fantasy Football Show. Well, we're just a few days away from the new day, slowly crawling, slowly approaching. But of course, one dilemma that a lot of fantasy Premier League managers have been facing in the past 2-3 weeks is how serious to take the cup. As we know, the FPL Cup is generally made up of the first 4 million players in game week 16, and you do qualify if you're in the first 4 million players. So you're randomly paired to play each other, and you keep on playing. You come down to 2 million, come down to 1 million, come down to 500,000, 250,000. You keep on going, till it's just left to one winner. And yeah, that's what it takes, one winner. There's no room for second or third place. So it's a high-risk game, but definitely a lot of use when you check out those prizes to be won. But the dilemma, of course, is how serious do you take this cup? And, does it affect your mini league? And people do have some ambitions at the beginning of the season in terms of your mini leagues. And then this cup comes across and you seem to be progressing. Now, do you take it seriously, or you still focus on your mini league with your boys or your friends in a pub or in a class or whatever? But on today's show, that's what we'll be talking about. Whether you have to take your cup serious or focus on your mini league, and I'll be doing that with Kojo, Amankwa, and Enoch. They've been very consistent on the show because, Enam is away spending his Christmas on holiday. We would all join him after the season, but Enam is away. But I'll be here with Kojo and Enoch, and we'll be right after this. Back, and it's always good to have you on the Joy Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Owuraku Ampofo, and I'm not here alone. I'm joined by Kojo. Kojo, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Yeah, and on my far left is Enoch. Enoch, how you doing?
I'm good, bro.
Any anticipation for the new year? What do you guys expect in the new year?
To climb my mini league.
Well, if there was an FPL Santa, that wish will hopefully be granted.
Yeah.
What expectations in the new year?
Well, to be in the next 2,500 of the FPL Cup.
Yeah. That's very positive. And I think he has given a cue as to, where he is skewed up onto in terms of this argument. Now, he's saying that he goes on to the next round of the Cup. So, sounds like he is serious in the Cup. But let me start from you, Kojo. Now, Kojo got knocked out in the first game week of the Cup. And it was quote-unquote deliberate because he didn't put in any extra effort, sacrifice, transfers, play a triple captain. He didn't get influenced by the Cup, basically. And Kojo, why do you choose your mini league over the Cup?
So with the Cup, it was more of a tactical exit because you see your opponents before you face them.
Yeah.
I saw his team, and I didn't bother making transfers because I was saving a few free transfers for Hurricane.
Yeah.
And so I got knocked out. But with the mini leagues, there's more to win from the mini leagues.
Yeah.
You win bragging rights. In my cases, I'm in like 4 groups with with a money prize. You win bragging rights, you win a money prize, and you go. If you finish first in your mini league, there's a high chance that you finish higher in the world league.
Well, don't you think going further in the Cup gives you a certain sense of pride in FPL that at least you're part of the first 250,000 people, even if you get knocked out?
Yeah, I've been there before because last season I got knocked out in game week 28, so I went as far as that.
Yeah. And
you realize that when you're going on and on further in the Cup, you realize that sometimes you have to beat your opponents, but you don't have to climb your mini league. So you can just feel like my opponent is better than me, so let me throw out my triple captainship. And you throw it out at an inopportune time instead of waiting for the right time to hit it. And you might flop, or it might win you that Cup game, but it has blocked you from using your chip in the next few game weeks.
So take me to last season, game week 28, when you sacrificed all these chips and all these tactics, and at the end of the day, you ended up getting knocked out. It felt like a lose-lose for you because, your mini leagues, that was something that you ditched for the Cup, and eventually you did get knocked out. How did you feel getting knocked out?
It wasn't lose-lose because I eventually won 3 of my 7 or 8 mini leagues. So it was a very good season last season.
But how do you feel like getting knocked out? Were you sad? Did it affect you?
Well, I was shocked because even though it was a tactical exit, I didn't expect to be knocked out by somebody who had I mean, he had 3 active players on his bench, but I saw the injuries and I didn't take heed of them.
Okay, so that was Amankwa talking to us on why, you don't really have to take the cup seriously because the mini leagues do bring you bragging rights. And of course, you can always text your friends that you're in a group with that, hey, look, I'm first on that mini league, and it brings immediate success and fun. But let me come to you, Enoch, and you are still in the cup, and you've spoken of your ambitions, and you seem pretty confident. Now, you have a 1 in a 4 million chance to win the cup.
Yeah.
Why do you choose to, put in all your energy in the cup?
Well, it's a general knowledge, and it's well said that even if you have a 0.00001% of winning something, that's a chance.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that chance. I'm so optimistic, and it's not like I want to win it by hook or crook looking at the prizes though, but I think you can actually balance your mini leagues with your FPL Cup because you want to get a lot of points to outwit your opponents. Same as being in the mini leagues, getting a lot of points. Yes, I understand that sometimes you want to throw in your chip just to win the mini league, but the good thing about the mini league is that you get to see your opponent's team. So keeping tabs on your opponent's team, if I see that, well, my opponent just triple captained Aguero is playing maybe Crystal Palace at home, what do? Do I also have to go and triple captain Aguero? No, I have to look at other options. Maybe Hazard is playing, or Kane is also playing somewhere else. I don't necessarily have to captain Kane or Hazard, triple captain them. What I just have to do is that captain one of them, get a player who is potentially going to score, because bear in mind, if you buy some of these most expensive players, what happens is that you end up buying players who are not expensive, and they don't end up giving you the points. We all know the expensive players who give us the points. So if your opponent is triple captaining or captaining the likes of Aguero, Hazard, Kane, the most expensive players in the Sterlings, then you also have to get players like Snodgrass, Felipe Anderson, Pedro, for example. You have Jimenez, you have Wilson. These are players who are not expensive. You don't necessarily have to triple captain them. But then when you have them in your team, you're going to get a lot of points. They're going to get you the points. Let him triple captain Kane. When you triple captain Kane, what's going to happen is that the next player you can buy may be Kamara. Fulham, how many points is he going to give you? But then you are rest assured that when you have Snodgrass, you're going to get a point, because Snodgrass keep on giving us double points. When you do this, what happens is that you outwit your opponent in the FPL Cup, and you still climb up in your mini leagues. I think it's a win-win situation. It's 1 in a 4 million chance of winning, but it's a chance.
So, down to you. Would you prefer maybe going to the last 100,000 in the cup rather than winning your mini league?
Well, with my mini leagues, what I win is a bragging right, which is cool. As an FPL expert, I need
100,000 and getting knocked. What you leave with is just bragging right.
Well, what I leave with is just bragging right also. But what will bragging right give me when I can focus on winning a ticket to the FPO, their main head office?
So, but that would take you winning the whole cup.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm so optimistic about it. Maybe I can be knocked out next game week, but that's fine. So far as I'm in it, I can hope that I win it.
But it's just going to be draining, because what you're going to end up doing is that you tend to get desperate, especially when you get up there and you start to see just how good your opponents are. You get scared, and you meet a guy who averages 90, 80 points, and you're thinking, this is not my level. Now to get here, I need to do something, and I need to play a triple captain, and you end up losing it.
So the nice thing about this is that you are going to get your wild card back. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do personally, I have my bench boost, I have my triple captain, amazingly, and I'll get my wild card back. So what happens is that when for this, you have to be very strategic. I'm not being boastful, or I'm not trying to say that I know the FPO, but what I know is that when you get to the 100,000s, that's where you're going to meet the likes of the Egyptians and the Indians, who are really, really good. Mm-hmm. So if I meet a team that, let's say, averages 98, then I'm going to use my wild card. We are both going to have the same team.
Well, he can still make changes that he wouldn't see though.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, we have put it to you and as to whether, well, if you're still in the cup, as to whether you do want to take it serious or you want to focus on your mini league, that would be solely down to you. But what we will be doing on the show is providing updates on how far Enoch does go. And in case he gets knocked out, we would all be wearing black. We would honor him with the funeral because he seems to be very enthusiastic about the cup. But let's quickly go into our captain picks, and we start with Jamie Vardy. Now Vardy is your man, and he plays at home to relegation threatened side Cardiff. He should be able to chip in a few goals there.
As you've already said, they are relegation threatened, and it's Jamie Vardy at home. Leicester have been quite impressive over the past few weeks, and Cardiff ship a lot of goals when they're away from home. So so that's a good combination for a very good captain pick.
A team that has turned around in terms of form, and they have been on the backside, and all of a sudden involved in a relegation scrap. That's Crystal Palace. Now we know that Eden Hazard, he goes to Selhurst Park and should be a premium captain pick on game week.
Well, for Hazard, I wouldn't know why people will not even consider him being the captain. Like I said, if Sarri wants to still be in the top 4, then Hazard, being a false 9, always proven. Like I said earlier, that anytime Hazard realizes that his strikers are scoring, what he does is that he relaxes and assists. And the strikers weren't scoring. They aren't scoring. They aren't doing anything in the team. They're not in there for the kill. Giroud, Morata, like they are not dependable. Hazard, when you have him, and then you have the likes of Jorginho behind you. You have Pedro and William playing on the wings with the combination play with the Sarri ball.
You see him getting on the goal?
I see him getting a lot of goals.
Okay, and we still stay in London, and well, not in London, but we go to Burnley, where a player from a London club would be going to. That's Felipe Anderson, and he will be going away to a Burnley side that concede a lot of home goals and struggle to keep a clean sheet. Now, West Ham have done really well without Arnautovic, especially. And even if Arnautovic is back, and we're still looking at Felipe Anderson, who seems to know how to create and also how to score.
Well, if you've been following West Ham and look at their style of play, you could see that everything they do is centered on Felipe Anderson. He's the pivot in the team. He brought in Snodgrass to relieve a little bit of pressure from Felipe Anderson. That Snodgrass is also creative as well. What happens is that any goal that's going to actually come in for West Ham will go through Felipe Anderson. Felipe Anderson is the main man. He's the creativity behind. I like creative players a lot because when you have strikers like Chicharito or Lucas, even when they are in the game for just 5 minutes or 10 minutes, they are going to give you a goal. And you have a player like Felipe Anderson, who within a blink of an eye is going to give you one true clear-cut chance that the only option that you have is to score. You don't have the Moratas to miss those chances. You have the Chicharitos who bury balls even when they have chances. Felipe Anderson, if he's not scoring, he's creating. If you captain him, what happens is that it's either you're going to get a goal and an assist or a goal. Like, no two ways about it.
Very confident about Felipe Anderson. And we do conclude the show with Mitrovic, and it hasn't been a fast start for Claudio Ranieri at Fulham. But you certainly see this game as an opportunity. I think this is a 6-pointer against Huddersfield, a side that are also struggling. And you have that feeling that Fulham just have to win this game if they have any chances of staying in the Premier League. And if they need to win, they are going to have to score. And if they're going to score, you expect Mitrovic to be there. Yeah,
Mitrovic is a spearhead of the Fulham attack. And when Ranieri came in one of his games, he actually passed the captain baton on to Mitrovic. It shows how much he trusts him as a striker. And with players getting back into the team like Sessegnon to supply Mitrovic, he's very likely to score.
Very, very likely to score. Now, thank you very much, gentlemen. And before I go, your captain picks for the week?
I would have to go for Hazard.
You go for Hazard?
Yeah. Maybe a Leicester player.
A Leicester player, Jamie Vardy?
More likely.
More likely. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me. And a special thank you to you at home for also watching this was the Joy Fantasy Football Show. And don't forget, in just about 3 days, that's 1st January, we'll be celebrating our new year with some Premier League action. So that means that wherever you are celebrating, you should keep an eye on your phone because the deadline would be earlier during that day. And of course, we'll be bringing you an episode prior to that to show you how to prepare for the new year. But up until then, always remember, Fike Lindo, which basically means stay beautiful.